Hey, what is going on, freedom fighters? Welcome back to another broadcast here on Break the Chains Media. Today is Tyranny Response Tuesday, August the 18th, 2026. We're just dealing with the dog days of summer now, aren't we? The dog day. These days are so full of these female dogs, these failures to launch, these grifters, these NGO riders, these scumbags. Got some very interesting characters here in the dog days of summer showing up here. We got less than 90 days coming into the midterms, and there's one particular woman in the radar that doesn't have someone running against her into the midterms, so she's skating right into the midterms unopposed. She's going to default jump right back into her House seat, and that is Laundering Lorena Garcia, HD 35 House District. She is one of the most corrupt and conniving and deceitful and manipulative little witch in the House of Representatives in Colorado here. We're going to get into some interesting findings. I've talked about her before many times in the past, but apparently this is new to some people, but she runs a nonprofit. She runs a nonprofit, and she enriches not only herself, but her family members with this nonprofit, this coalition for the homeless, or this Colorado coalition, parental coalition thing. We'll get into all that here in just a few minutes. We will also look into some of these ridiculous reactions coming from these leftists on Threads. I'll tell you what, folks, I only use Threads because it is linked to my Instagram and that's linked to my Facebook, and they're all kind of part of this meta, this world of meta, this meta business suite thing. So if I didn't need to, I wouldn't. But I have just been noticing that on Threads, I just get the most insane, deranged, outlandish, just completely ridiculous responses from some of these individuals on Threads, because it's not quite blue sky, right? If we're going to do a spectrum of retardation coming from the left, you have Instagram, or you have X, then you have Instagram, then you have Facebook, which is kind of like boomerish, whatever. But then you get into the left territory of Threads, and then you go even further over into the unhinged realms of Blue Sky. Don't get me started on Blue Sky. I don't own a Blue Sky. I've only seen stuff on Blue Sky. You couldn't pay me enough to be a part of that cesspool, but I got to deal with Threads. So we are going to be talking about some of these ridiculous responses on Threads as well. But folks, if this is the first time joining Break the Chains Media, smash that thumbs up button. Be a part of the chain breakers here on Break the Chains Media. We cover all things Colorado, all of the news, politics, culture, info warrior, activation, activism, all the good things happening here in the Mile High State, in the Centennial State. I appreciate y'all being here because we got a lot of stuff happening here, and I do believe that as we move closer into the midterms, we're going to be seeing a lot more things heating up here in Colorado, particularly not just with some of our races, but with some of our actual processes when it comes to the elections. So let's get into it, folks. Let's get into it. If this is the first time, you can always check out breakthechains.media. That is the website. That is the landing page. That is where you go for all of the social medias. Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Rumble live streams right here. You want to support the work I do? Go check out Realm Walker Hot Sauce on Instagram at Realm Walker Hot Sauce. Travel the 9 realms of Norse mythology through hot sauce. Speaking of hot sauce, what is going on, Stouffer? How you doing? Appreciate you being here, man. Shout out to you. We're rocking it. We're rolling it. I got to fix my hair. Holy cow, I look completely... Should I just do a live stream like this, guys? Should I just do it like this? We'll just, screw it, we're doing it live. We're going live. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna play that. We're gonna be a little bit more organized here. Got to pull out the hair tie, because I'll tell you what, man. Sometimes when you're growing your hair out and you're trying to get to a certain length, it is a little frustrating to get there, but have no fear, because the hair tie is here. We'll make it work. Now we're looking better. We're looking a lot better here. Anyways, travel in 9 realms of Norse mythology through hot sauce. From mild to extreme heat, I got the peppers growing in the backyard. I got the bottles ready to go for you. You want to support Break the Chains Media? You buy a bottle of Realm Walker hot sauce. Let's go. Let's go. Having a good time here, folks. Yes. Anyways, here we are. Here she is. This is Laundering Lorena Garcia, folks. This is who we're dealing with. This is the behavior. This is actually a great example of Lorena Garcia, right? And obviously I used a little bit of Grok's AI to kind of cook me up something a little bit more accurate to what Lorena Garcia is. Kyle Clark, a journalist? Yeah, come on. Is Kyle Clark really a journalist? No, we know Kyle. We know all of the propagandist in chief, what he puts out there, right? But yes. We got some other great things I wanted to touch on really quickly. I did share very quickly, because we're talking midterms, because we're talking laundering, because we're talking things that are going to be showing up on your ballot this midterms. You can't not talk about Protect Kids Colorado. Now, folks, this November, Protect Kids Colorado's got 3 excellent ballot measures that are going to be on your ballot this November, and you got to vote yes on all 3 of them, because this is protecting children. This is protecting the future of Colorado. We could be making nationwide history here in Colorado. We could be sending it as far as on a national level, because only a few other states have done this international trend regarding protecting children in sports and other gender-affirming care, right? So let's take a look here. But just now, we are looking at some fantastic things coming out of Protect Kids Colorado. The 3 ballot measures, we got to support them. We got to show up. You got to tell your friends about them. Because this is a huge movement. This could be a nationwide effort that we could change. We could start it here in Colorado. If we pass these very life-changing, life-saving ballot measures, protecting kids, protecting parents, preserving the childhood, making sure that women belong in women's sports and men belong in men's sports. From Title IX, we're talking all these, the education system, right? The school system, right? Making sure that trans athletes, these trans ideologues that try to subvert and infiltrate other sports because of their preferred identity, preferred gender, right? Well, these ballot measures are going to make sure that comes to an end, okay? 27 U.S. states have enacted restrictions on gender transition medical care for minors. 27 states have enacted restrictions on gender transitional medical care for minors. The ballot initiatives being pushed forward through Protect Kids Colorado and Aaron Lee would prohibit gender transition surgeries on minors under the age of 18 in Colorado. That is a very important thing, because I truly believe everyone has a right to live their own life as wherever they see fit. However, when you start talking about minors, when you start talking about permanent medical decisions that will affect them for the rest of their lives, when we talk about top surgeries or even bottom surgeries or hormone therapy or any of these things for prepubescent or early pubescent teenagers, that is a dangerous precedent. And we should not be having it in this state or across the country or across the world, to be honest. So, what we need you to do is support these ballot measures, support Protect Kids Colorado, and show up this November and vote yes. Protect kids, support parents, and preserve childhood. Now, you could follow all that great information, all that stuff is with Protect Kids Colorado, Protect Kids CO on X. Moving right along. We're getting into it now. We're jumping in. We're going head first. Government grifters. He's a great guy. This is a great source for information regarding government corruption, government grifting, government funding of funneling money. This fraudulent behavior that we see from governments all around, right? Government grifters is a great page, and I encourage everyone to check out at Government Grifters, GOVT Grifters on X, TT, bringing it to the people, bringing the facts and bringing the receipts. Because this is really what it comes down to, folks. This has been going on for a very long time. Okay? So let's take a look here, okay? Because it starts back in COVID, folks. All this stuff stems back from corruption linked to these PPP loans during COVID, and Lorena Garcia is very intimately tied with some of these loans that were offered out during COVID and self-enrichment behaviors through her nonprofits and paying off her family's salaries, paying off herself independently through her NGOs, and then on top of all of this, through legislation that she pushes forward to then further double down and further enrich this fraudulent behavior and this fraudulent network that has been established with not just Colorado, not just nonprofits, and not just NGOs, but nationwide. We can see this taking place around the country through using our money, funneling it through these nonprofits, and then using government legislation, state-sponsored legislation, to further enrich that behavior. Okay? Let's take a look here, folks. From TT Government Grifters on X. Were you struggling and denied relief funds during COVID? Well, you'll be happy to know that Representative Lorena Garcia has received over $6.1 million worth of COVID relief funds and continues to get them to this day, 6 years later. They denied you to hoard it and give it all to her. Check this out, folks. This is from some of these expenses. You can look all this up through the government websites. So TT uses the government websites, whether it's through Tracer. I'm not sure if this is actually through Tracer. This doesn't actually look like a Tracer, but it does look like it's showing that these are state, federal funds through the Department of Economic Recovery and Relief cash funds, all the way back, going all the way back. Look at all these different dates for years. 2026, 2025, 2025, all the way through 2024, October 22nd, 2024. Economic Recovery and Relief cash funds. Grants to non-governmental organizations. The Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition, folks. Listen to that name. Hold on to that name because we're jumping right into it. Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition. Right? Let's check it out. Because this is who Lorena Garcia. This is Lorena Garcia's NGO, folks. Okay. Let me double check here. Just want to make sure I'm pulling up the right thing. Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition. SCOPC. Okay. Las Familias. Let's check it out, folks. We're jumping into it. Oh, that's not it. That's not the button. That's not the button. Here's the button. Check it out. Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition. Partners in Education, folks. This is all about the children. It's all about the immigrant children. It's all about foreigners coming to this country to live a better life. You can have it. You can speak in English or in Spanish, folks. Yeah. Check it out. Just completely interactive. Because you know what? The illegal immigrants and these foreigners who come to Colorado need to get government money, right? They need a funnel, and they need to get as soon as they touch foot to soil here in Colorado, they're entitled to hundreds of thousands of Colorado taxpayer dollars, right? Am I right? I mean, why not? Why aren't we just paying them every day with our own hard-earned dollars, right? Check it out. Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition. CSPC's mission is to build power and support a movement in marginalized communities of families and child care providers to change systems, build leaders, and train families and providers to be the strongest and best advocates for their children to succeed in school and beyond. But folks, what does that even mean? What is she even? That's just a whole bunch of fluff. What are they actually doing? That's their mission, but what are they doing, right? We envision a community where all children are equipped with the skills to learn, supported by a village, and encouraged to succeed. Folks, talk about grifting. This is government grifting 101. Thank you, TT on X, folks. Join the movement. CSPC is an anti-racist organization fighting for equity and abundance in education for communities who have been pushed to the margins. Oh, boo-hoo. So sad. It's so painful. Folks, as soon as you see this child, as soon as you see the child's smiling eyes, this is who they're fighting for. This is who they're... honestly, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be real honest. Some of these photos look AI. Some of these photos look artificially generated. Like this, folks, this is all pulling on emotions. It's all this, think of the children. Well, but think of the children. Think of, wouldn't you want them to have a nice family meal or a nice house to live in or a bed to sleep in? Think of the children. This is the angle, this is the narrative that most of these NGOs push all the time. They funnel it through a emotive response, and they frame it around children and the needy. How much of that money is actually going to these people? How much money of our tax dollars is actually funding this little happy child right here, right? We reject acts of racism, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia, and white supremacy. We value context expertise over content expertise and are committed to our community-centered approach to system change and breaking down barriers. But what are they doing? What are they doing, folks? They still haven't said what they're actually doing. Curveball hit the nail on the head. Let's go. Get a treasure chest for Curveball Colorado. Shouting it out. CSPC is another leering center. That's exactly right, folks. This is just another one of these fraudulent systems. This is just another one of the fraudulent systems that have been used through the NGO networks, through these nonprofits, and now we're finally catching light on all this information, folks. Okay? It's all in Spanish. You know, there's currently 5 current programs, 40,000 community members engaged, and 4,000 child providers trained through PASO, P-A-S-O. Okay? You know, PASO Institute is an early childhood education program to prepare and certified informal child care providers, the FFN providers. Éxito. It's got to be in Español. It's got to be in Español. Gives parents the knowledge, skills, and materials to support their children before they enter kindergarten. Grupo de Apoyo provides support to parents of children with disabilities by providing resources, emotional support, and information. Folks, this is the website. This is Colorado Leering Center 101. They get grants. They have policy provisions. So this is the biggest thing, folks. This is where it really hits the road. This is where the Lorena Garcia angle comes into play, because she's the CEO. Mind you, folks, we're looking into this Colorado Parent Coalition because Lorena Garcia is the CEO of this company. And her family members work within this company. And we all started this with TT, government grifters, pulling the receipts on how much money she got from COVID relief funds. Okay? And on top of that, in addition, Lorena got herself a PPP loan, even though she took in nearly double the revenue in 2020 than she did in 2019. Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition. The loan amount was $90,000. The amount forgiven was more than the loan amount. Okay? Where will all this go? Payroll, utilities, mortgage, interest. It's in Westminster. We should go check it out. We should go see how this building actually operates. You know, because we could do that. We could do that on the ground in investigative reporting, right? The date approved was in 2020, so she's been doing it for a long time, folks. This is the tax form 990 for Colorado statewide parent coalition, right? Contributions, $396,000 in contribution and grants. Current year, almost double, $742,000. Program service revenue, $58,000, $35,000. But here's where we check it out. Salaries, other compensation, employee benefits, Part 9, Column A. You got over $400,000, almost $500,000 going to salary benefits, folks. Total assets, just look at how these numbers are crunching, folks. Be a great thing to look into, wouldn't you think? Wouldn't you think? Maybe we should go take a trip down there, right? Curveball says, instead of reporting on Lorena Garcia, Kyle Clark in 9 News puts time and energy into doxing people, in the latest being Robert Treda. No, go figure. And this is why we do what we do. Curveball, you hit the nail on the head. This is why I try to show up. And even though it's a small channel, even though I'm not the only one doing it, you got TT doing it, you got Forrest Mommy bringing the receipts and showing up to expose all these NGOs and these grifters. Myself is doing it. But folks, we have to be vocal about this. Many people have been speaking openly about this for a long time. But if the Kyle Clarks and the 9 News are there, and they're going to actually turn a blind eye to this blatant statewide corruption that's being instituted, somebody has to show the receipts. Somebody has to show up and say, enough is enough, and we're not accepting this fraudulent behavior from Lorena Garcia and from these grifters riding on the coattails of state policy. This state policy, these are state policies that Lorena Garcia supported or introduced or co-sponsored. So Colorado Parent Coalition supports these policies, okay? And then Lorena Garcia votes on these policies at state capitol that furthers the incentivization of these NGOs, of these nonprofits getting the money. And then it continues, and then it doubles down, and then it creates a snowball effect. It spirals into further corruption and further grifting from their job at from their job at state legislatures into their NGOs, into their pockets. Self-enrichment 101. This article is from Complete Colorado, written by Sherry Pife. Colorado lawmaker nonprofit bankrolling progressive tax push. This is a big thing, folks, because this is tying into the midterms and this Proposition 195, this Initiative 195 that would raise the current flat tax rate. Okay, let's take a listen because this is all tied together. Oh, the state doesn't have enough money, so we got to raise tax rates. Oh, the state doesn't have enough money, so we go to abolish Tabor, and we got to raise the floor of what Tabor can actually be taken from, right? We got to raise those minimum Tabor limits so that way we can bring more of this money from you, the taxpayer, into K through 12 education or daycares or early childhood learning or whatever their excuse is now. Because it's always about the children, folks. And I'll say it once, I'll say it 100 times. They always use emotion and children to fund their socialist communist agendas. Let's take a listen. State Representative Lorena Garcia, Westminster Democrat, has proven. She's not a Westminster Democrat. She's a Colorado communist. I'm gonna rephrase that. Let's go. State Representative Lorena Garcia, a Colorado communist, has been working overtime to ensure a progressive tax income initiative makes it in front of Colorado voters this November, including donating big bucks via a tax-funded nonprofit to the issue committee charged with getting the measure on the ballot. If passed, Initiative 195 would raise the current flat tax rate of 4.4% to 7.4% for those earning more than $500,000, and increasing as incomes rise to the top rate of 8.4% for those earning more than $1 million. This is 100% textbook socialist communist practice. We gotta tax the top earners. We gotta tax those making more money than us because they have the money to fund it. They have the money to fund those who don't have it, folks. No, that is not how work. That's not how it works, folks. You cannot keep extracting wealth from those who have it to fund those who don't, because eventually the people that have the money will no longer be there. They will no longer allow them to be taken advantage of. So they will then move their money. They will then move their businesses. They will then move away from the state. And then you will no longer have a tax bracket that you can extract and extort more of their wealth from. That's how it fails every time. Protect Colorado's Future Coalition, PCFC, the group supporting the measure, had until August 3rd to turn around 125,000 signatures, including 2% from each Colorado's 35 state Senate districts, in order to meet the requirements for a citizen-led constitutional amendment. They just made it, turning in about 157,000 signatures. Not good, folks, not good. Garcia's tax-funded nonprofit. While the main effort is being led by former state legislature Chris DeGrine Kennedy and the liberal policy think tank, the Bell Policy Center. Folks, the Bell Policy Center has been running some of these socialist plans for a very long time. Anything that comes out of the Bell Policy Center is not good for Colorado constituents. Garcia appears to be the 11th hour savior of the effort. As the signatures gathering deadline grew closer, Garcia rallied volunteer troops with threats of near devastation of Colorado if the state can't raise its revenue collection. She did so as the current executive director of the Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition, a role she has held since 2018, prior to be appointed by a vacancy committee in 2023. Folks, that's the other thing. She got her position. She got her state legislature position from a vacancy appointment. She didn't even win on the merits of an actual election. This is the level of corruption that happens in Colorado. It is so disgusting. And this is exactly how they have instituted their communist takeover in this state. She's done well in that position. According to the nonprofit tax form 990, CSPC's revenue when Garcia took the helm in 2018 were about $517,000. In the year after she took over, that number grew to nearly 5 times to $2.7 million in 2023, with her salary nearly tripling from $57,000 to $133,000 a year. Now, put a pin in that, folks. $2.7 million in 2023. Compare that to TT showing up here that got, compare that to TT showing that she actually gained, where was it? Did I have it pulled up here or was it this one? Oh, it's this one here. Compare that to the receipts that TT showed up earlier. Lorena Garcia received over $6.1 million worth of COVID relief funds and continues to get them to this day. So the $2.7 million. So the $2.7 million in 2023 was revenue, but compare that to the $6.1 million worth of COVID relief funds, and they still get them. This is how corruption is instituted here in Colorado. According to the Transparency Online Project, CSPC has raised nearly $2 million in Colorado tax-funded grants and other programs since Garcia became the director, with more than 99% of those tax dollars rolling in since Garcia was appointed to the legislature. You don't say. You color me shocked that 99% of this revenue that was just accrued for this nonprofit all showed up after Lorena got the legislature position. How interesting. A closer look at Protect Colorado's Future Coalition campaign finance reports shows that Garcia's nonprofit has been very gracious to the Initiative 195 effort. As of most of its recent filings on August 3rd, Protect Colorado's Future Coalition had raised $310,000 of contributions. Garcia's nonprofit had contributed nearly 1/3 of that. The timing of those contributions are even more interesting. On June 30th, CSPC donated $16,000. On July 23rd, less than 2 weeks before the signature deadline, CSPC donated $50,000. Also on July 23rd, PCFC paid ground organizing $64,000 for consultant and professional services. That's what they do, folks. Okay? Lorena Garcia is Exhibit A on how nonprofits, about how government grifting and how about government funding of our tax dollars gets funded into these coalitions to then fund initiatives that support raising our taxes even more so that they can enrich themselves even further on the backs of the rich here in the state until they decide to move out, of course, until they decide to put their money somewhere else, of course. But this is what they're doing. They're siphoning money from every avenue they can, and it starts with you, the taxpayer. It's sickening. Curveball, we got some more here. HD 35 is barely Westminster. It's mostly Federal Heights and unincorporated Adams County with zip codes addresses that show up as Denver. Yes, and that's the other thing, Curveball. A lot of this is unincorporated, which I'm sure there's a lot of wiggle room when it comes to NGOs and reporting and filing, because it's all because some of these areas might be unincorporated. The Bell Policy Center, how Coloradans get their bell rung. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Bingo. But yes, couple more here. Let's finish up. Let's land this plane on this idea, on this topic. Ground organizing registered with the state as a circulator for Initiative 195, as well as other petitions. The organizing's website boasting it successfully put 20 initiatives on the ballot through paid petition circulators. CSPC is also registered as a circulator for Initiative 195. To the date, the campaign has paid ground organizing just under $139,000. Folks, where is this money going? Is it going for flyering? Is it going for door knocking? Is it going to pay these people 8-hour days to go stand in front of King Soopers or online like, where is this money actually being put to, right? Two other donors, Bell Policy Center, $100,000 on July 24th, and John Powers, $30,000 on July 21st. It also donated to the issue committee ahead of August 3rd deadline. Powers is an environmental activist who launched the Alliance for a Sustainable Colorado. All of these buzzwords, all of these key catchphrases are coming straight out of globalist Agenda 2030 narrative think tanks, right? This sustainable, economical, developmental, equity, all these buzzwords, right? They all run together, and it all comes back down to extorting your wealth, extorting your value, and punishing you, the individual, for not having that green, that green energy efficient appliance, or for not turning your lights off an hour earlier, or for not supporting a sustainable development goal of your local park or local business model. This is all tied together. It's all about subjugating you, the citizen, with not just your money, but your livelihood, your mobility, and your economic freedoms. That is what it really comes down to. And they're doing everything they can, using their NGOs and using their grift to extort more money from us. And we have to oppose Initiative 195. Ballot measure Initiative 195 must be voted no on this November. That is the progressive tax rate. Tax the rich. That's the Tax the Rich initiative, right? Folks, I don't care if I'm not a rich individual, but I know the ramifications of raising tax rates in states and the downstream effects that it has when it comes to people that don't have that money, okay? Because here's what happens. You get legislatures and you get policies that are built around expected revenue streams. Oh, we're expected to get X amount billions of dollars from these added taxes revenues, from these other tax brackets that are going to be funding our efforts. Well, when those tax brackets leave, when those people that make that money that you are now going to be robbing them from, if those people leave the state or find ways to dip below that tax threshold, they no longer get taxed at your quote-unquote progressive tax rate or your richer tax bracket. So that money dries up. The state doesn't have the money to fund its pet projects or its policy plans that it wants to institute, whether it be feeding children or clothing migrant Somali individuals or giving illegal Central or South Americans that come to Colorado a free house or a free car or free scooters or e-bikes or whatever it is, right? That's where their little pet project money goes. Or we're going to build a $500,000 skywalk and a new park in downtown Denver, because that's really what downtown Denver needs, right? They have all these policies and all these things that they funnel this tax money to, not to mention self-enrichment through their NGOs, through their nonprofits, and then through their scheming tactics, enriching themselves. This is what they're doing, and this is what they're trying to institute. So we got to vote no on Initiative 195. And we also have to call out every single one of these Lorena Garcia laundering types who take our dollars and self-enrich themselves, their family members, and their others, all in this emotional response, and funneling it, framing it around children, around minorities, around those marginalized communities. And that's what they do. They target these marginalized individuals to then invoke an emotive response from the taxpayers. Say, oh, we absolutely need to fund this. No, we don't, because at the end of the day, all that money is going to enrich themselves and all of their other friends, and it just continues the spiral because they continue to put out legislative policies and self-enrichment tactics that will only benefit them. It's crazy, folks. This is my rant. That's my rant. Take it or leave it. Gandalf, what do you got to say to Lorena Garcia?
You shall not pass!
Seriously, though, folks, it's insane. Guess what? 30 to 40% of the voters will only return their ballots and vote for people like Lorena Garcia in. Yeah, no, it's terrible. I talked about this. This is back from March, right? Lorena Garcia, I made this video months ago. So this is nothing new. This is always been, it's always been a thing for a very long time, but we're just bringing it back up to the front now, right? Let's take a listen, right? This is Graduated Income Tax Ballot Measure Initiative 195. What is it, and what is the impact to Colorado residents? This proposed constitutional amendment would replace Colorado's current flat tax income tax rate, which applies the same percentage to all taxpayers regardless of income, with a graduated or progressive tax rate structure. Under a graduated system, higher income earners would pay a higher percentage of their income in state taxes, while lower income earners may pay a lower rate. Colorado's constitution currently requires a single flat income tax rate for all residents. Changing this would require a constitutional amendment, which is why the measure must go directly to voters. This ballot measure amends TABOR, the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, first passed by voters in 1992, to protect us from out of control state spending by the Colorado legislature. Now, folks, if you've been living under a rock, if you haven't been paying attention to Colorado state legislature, if you haven't been in the know when it comes to state spending, Colorado state legislature has been running rampant with our dollars, with our tax funds, with everything that they can. And every time, every year, they're always siphoning more from the general fund, bloating this, and trying to find ways in creative accounting solutions to find and fund more of their projects. Folks, this is a dangerous, dangerous precedent. This is from the website yourfamiliesfuture.org. You can find all this information, not just about Initiative 195, but you can also find information on TABOR and other great things that will empower you and inform you on your votes come November. The Taxpayers' Bill of Rights is under assault in this state, and yourfamiliesfuture.org will give you the information you need to understand how to vote and why we need to be voting for certain things and against other things. So let's keep reading here. Quick facts, how it could affect Colorado families and businesses. Ends key provision of TABOR rights. The Taxpayer Bill of Rights currently requires all taxable net income to be taxed at a single flat rate. The top rate doubles. Some will see their income taxes double, making Colorado an undesirable place to invest in. This is the big problem when it comes to these socialist types and these communist types. If you focus on extracting the wealth from the upper class and from these higher wealth earners, from these higher income earners, they're not going to be incentivized to come invest in our state. Why start a business in Colorado if you're going to be taxed more in Colorado? Doesn't make any sense. On that note, it's bad for business. While proponents framing targets Colorado wealthiest individuals, the measure would significantly harm profitability of Colorado businesses, hurting the state's economic and tax competitiveness. Can I say that word right? Competitiveness? $2 billion tax hike in its first year, folks. The measure is forecasted to increase Tabor-exempt taxes by billions of dollars in the first year. And then increases tax complexity. Coloradans like the flat income tax rate because transparency is easy to understand. Moving 6 tax rates increases complexity for filers, businesses, and compliance. Bracket creep. The new tax brackets are not indexed to inflation, so individuals over time will be pushed into higher tax brackets, resulting in higher taxes not just for the wealthy, but for everyone over time. So the new tax brackets are not properly indexed to account for inflation. So over time, year over year, if you're going to be making more and you're going to be having to make more just to survive in Colorado, you yourself will be victims to this incremental tax rate increase. It shifts Colorado's tax policy towards legislative control. It removes the protections from the Constitution and transferring the authority over the state's income tax to the state legislature. And that sets a dangerous precedent here in Colorado, especially when a majority of our state legislation is leaning into this socialist mindset, and we are one vote away from a supermajority. So if this type of initiative gets implemented and then it gives the legislation power to control income tax and how we're actually taxed on a state legislation scale, we no longer have the voice and the power as the taxpayers to make sure that our taxes are being done and effectively instituted. You know, all taxes are bad, folks, but we can't have a graduated income tax. So we got to vote no on Initiative 195, the graduated or progressive income tax. You're welcome, America. Yeah, with that being said, folks, I went a lot longer than I was expecting. I was going to do the reactions on Threads because I could go for another hour on Threads, but I've got some important stuff I have to be doing later, but I do have this pulled up. This is my Threads account. Folks, you don't have to follow me on Threads. I don't even have a lot of followers, but you know what I do have? I got a lot of haters on Threads. That's what I got. I got a lot of haters on Threads, and some of these people on Threads here, I mean, some of the most insane and outlandish comments are coming out of Threads. It's absolutely ridiculous. Even without a supermajority, Phil McCracken-Weiser seals the deal. Yeah, no, you're right, Curveball. Like, look at this. Just really quickly, and what I'm doing, I'm trying to think of like doing like a thread sanity. I don't know what it's called, but I want to do like a segment where it's just like threads, like the unhinged responses from Threads, like retard reactions on Threads, or thread sanity, or like thread minded complex or something. I don't know, but I want to make a segment where we just go over some of these comments that I see here, like this comment. Okay, this is a comment on my post about the Drip Cafe protest, right? And so this one here, let me find it, because this one says, "You show up in MAGA gear, fully inviting and videoing for engagement. Read the room and go F yourself. Go prance around in a strip mall in Highlands Ranch if you need fresh air. Like, what kind of, like, your brain, like, first of all, I don't even own MAGA gear. I was wearing a band shirt. Like, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I wanted to basically go through some of these comments and just just see how ridiculous it is. Like this one, Chief Roasted Fur. Why is it always Republicans? The group that wore tampons on their head, wore diapers, and had jars to make believe splooge around their neck. Call other people clowns or unhinged. Folks, what paragraph did I even read? Like these kind of comments are like literally furthering the mindset that yes, all leftists are mentally unstable. They're mentally deranged. They're mentally unwell. Because if you literally think that Republicans ran around wearing diapers and tampons on there, like, they're living in a different reality, right? This one. F off, Nazi bitch. You're down here there to, if you're down there to stir ish up, don't complain when it comes back on you. I wasn't there to stir anything up. I was there to just record how stupid they were all acting. Who the F are you? Ah, just some uneducated dumbass. So I was going to go off on a whole rant. Like, everything I don't like is communism. An emotional child's guide to social political discussions on the internet. Well, folks, I hate to break it to you. I hate to break it to that retard, but they literally are quite, like, no joke, they're literally Denver communists. So when you put that little thing, everything I don't like is communists. Everything I don't like is a communism. Like, no, folks. They're literally self-proclaimed communists. So take a short stab in your frontal lobe. Because honestly, like, they have no real argument. They have no real logic. So, like, I just thought, like, reading some of these, like, thread comments, because like I'm, like, obviously, like, 2-to-1 ratioed on comments to likes, because people on threads are just inherently leftists, so they're gonna show up in droves and just spam blast my shit, right? People in the comments just triggered, obviously demonic possessed people. Like, what an effing nerd. Get a hobby and stop bothering these people on Friday night. Why don't you say that to the communists who are actively attacking and assaulting individuals that are buying coffee from a coffee shop, right? Like, this is the meme level of the left. Hey everyone, come see what this Nazi thinks. See, you're just a POS. Like, that's not funny. There's nothing funny about that. Never once am I professing Nazi beliefs. If believing in borders and believing in heterosexual marriage and a straight demographic of male and female, two genders, and thinking that Christ and Christianity is the best path forward for a nation, if those are quote unquote like extremist, radical, fascist beliefs, like, folks, sorry, not sorry, I guess. Like, if these people want to live in a hedonistic, demonic, hell-ridden slop of just amorphous gray blobs, NPCs running amok, no religion, no gender, no mindset, no morality. If they want to live in that world, by all means, go live in that world. But I'm not playing their games, and I'm not signing up for that, and I will stand up against that every single day. Every single day. But yeah, so we could go off on a tear on threads, but folks, I do think I am going to be wrapping this one up. If you want to see some of my older Lorena Garcia posts, I do have it part of my highlight reel on X. Make sure you check out breakthechains.media. That is the website. That is the landing page. All my socials are here. Rumble live streams. Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. Realm Walker Hot Sauce. Pick up a bottle of hot sauce if you want to support the stream, support the channel. Some of these are back ordered because I am waiting on peppers to grow, but in due time, all things will be revealed. But folks, that is going to be doing it for us here on Break the Chains Media. Tyranny Response Tuesday, because Lorena Garcia is a criminal. Lorena Garcia is a communist. She is out to enrich herself using our tax dollars, using our hard-earned money to pay for her self-enrichment. So make sure you call it out. Make sure you step up and stand up and fight the good fight. And because that's what we have to do, folks. We have to be vigilant in the fight, right? And make sure that people are aware of not just the NGO grift, not just Lorena Garcia and her behavior, but make sure that we're talking about, this ballot initiative 195. We have to stand up against ballot initiative 195 and make sure that people vote no on 195. We have to vote no on NN. No on NN. That is the raising the Tabor minimum. And then ballot initiative 195, we also have to be voting no on that as well. But folks, I do appreciate everyone in the stream. I do appreciate everyone in the channel. Stay tuned for more because we got a lot of other great stuff coming your way. But without further ado, we're heading over to the Beanie Compound, doing a raid over there for Timcast IRL. Thank you all for being here. Keep fighting the good fight. Colorado strong, Colorado proud, represent, because that's what we're doing here, making sure you guys get the information you need. Stouffer84, shout out, Curveball Colorado, thank you for being here, folks. And as always, fight for freedom and never give up.